All right, let's go ahead and do another example, this time of where we have a repeated root and want to find a particular solution given initial conditions. So we're told here, solve the initial value problem y double prime plus 6y prime plus 9y equals 0, where y of 0 equals 1 and y prime of 0 equals negative 2. So we're going to start by finding the general solution again. Start with the characteristic equation, r squared plus 6r plus 9 equals 0. This gives us that r plus 3 squared equals 0, or r plus 3 times r plus 3 equals 0. So r equals negative 3 is the only solution. So our general solution in this case, where we have a repeated root, is going to be c1 e to the negative 3t plus c2t e to the negative 3t. And then we need to find our derivative of this so that we can find the particular solution using the initial condition y prime of 0 equals negative 2. So y prime of g, y prime sub g of t, rather, is going to equal negative 3c1 e to the negative 3t. And then the second one, we have to use product rule. The derivative of the first is c2 times the second e to the negative 3t plus the first c2t times the derivative of the second e to the negative 3t is going to be a negative 3 in front. So we'll make this a minus 3 c2t e to the negative 3t. And we'll plug in our initial conditions. So y of 0 equals 1 into y sub g of t equals c1 e to the negative 3t plus c2t e to the negative 3t. This is going to result in just 1 equals c1, since when we plug 0 in for t, the second term here cancels out. Now when we plug in y prime of 0 equals negative 2, we'll do this. We'll plug in the c1 value at the same time. So we'll get negative 2 as the output equals negative 3 times 1 for c1 times 1 when we plug in 0 into e to the negative 3t. And we'll get plus c2. And then the third term has a t as one of the factors in it. So when we plug in 0 for t, that will go away. So we can add the 3 to the other side and get that c2 equals 1 as well. So in this case, because the system of equations gave us the c1 value right away, I just skirted the entire idea of using a matrix to solve this equation. So we can now take this and put the c1 and c2 values into our general solution to get our particular solution, y sub p of t equals e to the negative 3t plus t e to the negative 3t. And this should give us a solution to y double prime plus 6y prime plus 9y equals 0 that satisfies the initial conditions y of 0 equals 1 and y prime of 0 equals negative 2.